I think about Fable, I think about choosing between good and evil in a whimsical world full of base but charming humour. I think about combat with hobs, hollow men, bandits, balverines, and sometimes well-intentioned guards. I think about faithful dog companions. I also think about games that were rough around the edges, that sometimes delivered and that sometimes fell disappointingly short. Fable Fortune may be a card game instead of an RPG, but it's very much an embodiment of all those things. Fable Fortune's closest cousin in the genre is probably Hearthstone. Both games have classes with hero powers, as well as 30 card decks and 30 health heroes, but Fable Fortune brings plenty of its own ideas to the table. In addition to a standard hero power, for instance, you can also spend 1 gold per turn to put a unit in guard, helping you protect more valuable units or your health. It lets you actively play defense and adds another layer to turn planning. Deck building is given a slight twist too, in that if you go second, you get a special 31st card in your opening hand by default. It's a clever attempt to balance out the advantage of going first. A bigger innovation is in the in-match quest system that lets you choose to unlock and upgrade interesting good or evil cards and your hero power. As a Gravedigger, do you want a stronger rush unit or the ability to flood the board? As an Alchemist, do you want to have your choice of 1 of 4 vials, or get a more powerful but randomly selected one? Those meaningful choices let you define your playstyle and pivot in the late game if needed. Completing quests also lets you upgrade certain cards that utilise morality points. It's a clever system, but there are so few morality cards right now that they feel less essential than I'd hoped they might. In fact, because Fable Fortune is just getting started, there aren't that many cards in general. The class card options feel particularly restricted, so a lot of the base power is found in the neutral collection. That means you'll see many of the same cards popping up in every class. Fable Fortune takes an interesting approach with its online play. It doesn't have permanent play modes, instead opting for time-limited events. During the launch week, it had 1 PvP season event and 2 co-op events. The PvP event functions very much like a season of ladder in other CCGs. You play to reach Hero League, then fight to be at the top of it. For serious players, Hero League is where the game actually begins. Co-op, on the other hand, pits you and a friend, or a stranger, against the bespoke boss. It's a fun concept because you can find strange synergies between the class cards of different heroes. Co-op can be a bit of a crapshoot with random players though, so is most definitely best with a friend and voice comm. The event system as a whole gives developer Flaming Fowl flexibility for the future. Every event can have its own selection of quests and its own custom quest rewards, creating a new challenge and incentive every time. Outside of the events, Fable Fortune also has solo content in the form of practice options and story challenges, which are still being fleshed out. It's a shame there's no casual PvP option to test decks against human opponents, however. Fable Fortune has a lot to like, but calling this new free-to-play version 1.0 seems a bit rich, as it's missing some essential features. There's no record of what either person has played, for instance. Miss a play and you'll have no way of finding out what happened. You also don't know how many cards your opponent mulliganed and can't track their hand. You can't even minimise on-screen pop-ups to survey the board. Fable Fortune isn't very forthcoming with information about cards and other game elements either. Conjure a royal decree? What does that mean? I won't know unless I acquire this card and then play it. Fable Fortune has some novel ideas that put a new spin on gameplay that's familiar to CCG fans. Its good evil upgrade system shows a lot of potential, though its selection of cards needs to grow into it before it can really pay off. Overall, compared to its competitors, Fable Fortune is lacking in polish and some basic features, and its gameplay is a little more linear. But it does have the dog and all the characters and humour that made Fable special, and that makes it a fun way to dive back into a treasured series. For more IGN verdicts, check out our reviews of Into the Breach, Metal Gear Survive, and Moss. And for everything else, stick with IGN.
This